Good evening, ladies. Hello, queens. It is your girl, leading Lady Dara here. Welcome to Walk in Them Shoes podcast. Welcome to my returning listeners. Welcome to my new listeners. Please, ladies and gents, because there are a few gents that are listening and I appreciate your support. I'm asking you to share this podcast discussion today. It is your girl, leading Lady Dara here, and I'm coming before you to share, to continue on this weekly basis every Wednesday, the discussion on domestic violence. I did say that this will be my last discussion, and not last as in never, ever, just right now. I will make this the last discussion until my guest is able to make her appearance. So tonight, this evening, I'm going to share what I know, what I've experienced, and just share with you ladies and gents as well. I'm just going to share with you all on today what again God laid on my heart to share in this ever serious ending cycle of domestic violence. My name again is Leading Lady Dar. I am the founder of this wonderful organization, Walk in Them Shoes. Walk in Them Shoes is an empowerment firm. Walk in Them Shoes is designed to help empower, uplift, motivate, inspire, encourage, and usher you into greatness. The ladies, from the younger ones to the older ones, that's what we're here for. That's what Leading Lady Dara, also known as Coach Dara, your confidence coach, is here to do. Is what she loves to do. Is what she has been blessed to do. It is what God has gifted her, anointed her, and also made her vision to fulfill. This is God's work that I'm doing. It's not by design just because Darnice chooses to share or talk about what she want to talk about. And sometimes, I do. But most importantly, nonetheless, I'm here and sharing and fulfilling the vision that God has placed in my heart. Something that I am so passionate about, and that's helping women get on their feet, helping women transition from one part of their lives to another part of their lives. So this here, Walking Them Shoes, is my business. But Walking Them Shoes is more than just a business to me. Tonight might get, you might want to get a box of tissues, good people. Y'all might want to get a box of tissues because it's on my heart heavy. It is just had a discussion with someone, and I'm sure they're listening, and I love you with all my heart. And I'm sorry that you're where you are, but know that I am praying for you, my sister. But yes, this is a mission that I'm on, and this is a mission. Yes, this is a mission that I'm on. And tonight's topic, again, this is still gleaming from domestic violence, sharing what I know. My latest book that I've written, which is a book journal. It's called War. It is called Women Achieve Remarkably, the acronym WAR. Women Achieve Remarkably. I just released that book a few weeks ago. You can actually purchase that book. You can visit my website, I believe, walkingthemshoesllc.com, and I believe it is available on the website, but if it's not, you're more than welcome to visit Amazon.com. We have the paperback and we have the hardback. Actually, the hard book cover of Walking Them Shoes is available as well. So that's a great thing. That's very exciting. You ladies should go and purchase that journal. It is, it's more than a journal. It's a book of inspiration. It's a book of teaching, and it's a book of helping a woman that is on that journey, if they're in that, if they find themselves a victim of domestic violence, or if you find yourself just coming out of a abusive relationship, or if you're supporting someone that is in an abusive relationship. So that's what the book War is. It brings awareness to the woman that may be suffering, or if you know someone who is in that type of situation. Before even going any further in what it is that I do, let me just share that if you find yourself in that abusive relationship and you're seeking help, of course, Coach Dara is available to you at 267-632-6281. Also, 24/7, you do have the domestic violence awareness hotline, and I believe it's throughout the entire state, or at least the tri-state area. This I know for sure. It's 1-800-799-7233. There's also different locations in the center city area that you can go to for support and shelter. It's real. It is really real, and it's rapid, it's rampant, it's going on in houses, apartments, condos. It's going on married, just being a partner from a male to a female, female to female. Domestic violence is real, and I want to come on tonight, and I just want to kind of take y'all back. But before taking y'all back, I want to share that not only am I a coach and I coach women in helping to build their confidence, I am a friend, and I give a listening ear. And I also talk about that in my book, War. Just being that friend that's given that ear and listening to and comforting and supporting your friend. It's not easy to do that. It's not easy. So in my book War, I do share words of encouragement to the women who's given that listening ear. But tonight I'm going to talk about 5 different topics, all reared in, all coming together, and all boils down to that woman who has been victimized by domestic violence, or just coming out of, who is just trying to get restarted on her journey and living her life after the abuse. And these stages, these stages are not in any specific order, but yet to a certain degree there is. So I'm going to talk about courage. I'm going to talk about confidence. I'm going to talk about stages. I'm going to talk about road to recovery. So let me back up, because I don't think I shared this with you queens here on tonight, that it's not about the hills. It's not about the flats. It's not about the wedges. It's about how to walk in them shoes. It's about putting one foot in front of the other. And although it may sound very, very easy, although it may sound like soon as you put your feet on the floor after waking up in the morning, soon as your feet hit that floor, you know how to get to that bathroom. You know how to get to that kitchen. You know how to put one foot in front of the other. But for some of us, it's tough. For some of us, it's hard for us to get up out that bed, knowing the discouragement that we may feel, the emptiness we may feel, the embarrassment, the shame, the hurt that we may feel. So I'm here to inspire and uplift you. And please, anything that I say and I share on this podcast this evening, please think about it. Share it. If it doesn't resonate with you, if you don't think that you can do anything with this, or if this is not for you, don't turn your head to it. Don't turn a blind eye. Don't turn your ear down. Listen, and listen with intentions on helping someone else who's on a journey of trying to get free, who's on a journey of trying to build her confidence. Okay? So I want you to remember one thing, and I always say this: I need you ladies to stand tall and slouch for no one. And for that lady that is in that domestic violent relationship right now, it may seem hard for you to stand tall. It may seem hard, but be encouraged on today and know that you got this. And if you can just muster up an ounce, if you can just muster up an ounce of faith, an ounce of a prayer, opening up your mouth and just asking God to help you and meet you where you are, then you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to put that one foot in front of the other. So I'm going to take you back to when Leading Lady Dar started out on her journey of speaking. It started out years ago. I won't go back that far, and far as speaking to, the little, speaking to women in a church, and, having friends contact you and you're building them up. It started back then, but I'm not talking about back then. I'm talking about when I did one of my very first, what's this? I hosted a Mother's Day event. And in this Mother's Day event, this was one of the Mother's Day events that I gave. So this was one of the very first events that I had spoke at when I gave my own Mother's Day event. Honoring the women. We did the breast cancer walk, and then I did a dinner for in celebration in honor of mothers. I spoke about the caterpillar, right? I spoke about this caterpillar in the stages in life or in transition from, how a caterpillar transitions into a butterfly, right? So I spoke and I was sharing, and that caterpillar butterfly analogy I use to share about my life. And it was a particular part of my life that I had shared, and I divulged certain information at that time. And it kind of blew some minds of some of the people that was in the audience that listened and that heard my story. But I'm going to share just briefly. I won't go into great detail because I do want to continue on and sharing another time that I had spoke, because it all ties into domestic violence. It all ties into where I'm at now. It all ties into where another woman is on her journey. So I'm just going to share this one very first Mother's Day event that I spoke at, and also sharing on a time I spoke at Success Fest 2021. So back to the four stages of that caterpillar. Caterpillar, everyone knows, back in science, you were taught how a caterpillar, in which us ladies and young girls at that time was like, ooh, 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 and so icky and like grossed out by the way the caterpillar looked, the way the caterpillar squirmed, and just being just not a pretty sight, right? So that caterpillar goes through stages. So, ladies, if you ever been in a domestic violence situation, I'm sure you walked into that relationship not aware of what it was hitting for. And I mean literally hitting for. Like, you didn't know that you was getting ready to become a victim of domestic violence. So here you are, this innocent caterpillar. And I'm not saying that you wasn't looking good. I'm not saying that you were grossed out, but a caterpillar was just not the greatest looking insect, okay? But nonetheless, you're that caterpillar and you're in this stage, right? A caterpillar goes through different stages, which helps them to transition into that beautiful butterfly. So in those stages, you become that egg, or you start out as that egg. You start out as the larva, which kind of oozes and looks like that caterpillar forming, and it is. But then also you have that stage where it is the chrysalis, where you're in that cocoon, and that's the part where I begin to share how when I was younger and I was going through different stages in my life, and I found myself in domestic violence situations and relationships, but I had also found myself in um, a place of being sexually assaulted, and it was by a close family member. And I didn't know at that time what that individual was doing, and I was not quite a teenager, I knew that I was being inappropriately touched. I'll say that. I knew that I was being touched inappropriately. And what that did to me was it become introverted. It made me draw back into this shell, into this cocoon, right? So I went through this stage of being a young skinny girl, already feeling a little bit of insecurity about herself because I was skinny. And people made fun, like kids are treacherous, kids are cruel. I don't want to say treacherous, but yeah, kids are cruel. And they make fun, they tend to make fun of you, and you giggle and you laugh, and you kind of try to come back, but at the same time it doesn't stop the reality of it, and that is they hurt your feelings, whether it's something that they made fun of that is true or something that they made fun of that is not true, but it's just the fact that it embarrassed you and that it hurt you, right? So you go through life. I went through this little phase of going through this moment of um, not feeling secure about myself, feeling a little bit insecure because of the way I look. Yes, I was pretty, but I was skinny, and I didn't want to be skinny. You know, um, I felt like I was good and I had that confidence about myself, but at the same time, I knew I had some of these insecurities that was bothering me. But yet, I'm still being little Niecy and I'm still going to get through this, right? But then here I am in this larva, like caterpillar type stage, and I'm not looking my best. And then now I transition into this other stage of being in a cocoon, and that's that phase of being in a chrysalis. That's that transformation from, I guess, like from an egg to the caterpillar, or yeah, from the egg to the caterpillar, and you're not looking your greatest, but in that cocoon, you know that there's a transformation going on. I didn't know it was a transformation going on. I'm actually at this stage in my life where I am I became a bit withdrawn. And for some reason, I don't know, throughout my life, I have not been able to stay at a place where, if I had found myself in this depressive state, I'm not there long, thank God. And I would knock on a piece of wood if it was near me. But I didn't stay in this particular cocoon stage long, or at least it didn't appear to be long. But in this stage, here I am, I'm being transformed, right? But I didn't know that I was being transformed. And I speak about when you're waiting for God to do something for you, and you're waiting with anticipation. Sometimes you get impatient, and sometimes you get an attitude, and sometimes you're not waiting patiently. You're upset. You're being impatient. And what happens when you become impatient? Your patience is short. So now you're being nasty. You have a nasty attitude. You have a nasty disposition. So in this cocoon, all of that was going on inside of me, feeling the hurt and pain of knowing that I was violated, but yet being so young that no one would really understand what I'm saying, or even do anything about it, or even believe that what I was saying was true. So one, I had to work up I had to work up enough courage to speak about it, because one, I don't know why it is that a victim sometimes tend to feel ashamed. A victim tends to feel like no one's going to believe me. A victim tends to believe that, you know, I better not say nothing to nobody. And I know sometimes the abuser tend to, put that fear in that person's heart, or press upon that type of fear on that individual or their victim. But being in that stage, in that cocoon type um, time, and being in that cocoon, I didn't realize that things were being worked out in me and on me, and not realizing in that shell, because that cocoon. And one thing, if y'all know, um, science wasn't one of my favorite subjects, but yeah, I was there. I didn't skip. I was there. But if you know, most caterpillars, their skeletons, like their outer shell is like they break out. It's on the outside. Their skeleton is on the outside. That whole form, that whole skeleton, that what do you call that? I'm kind of lost for words with it, but it's like a shell. Um, they have the skeleton. You know, the caterpillars have that skeleton on the outside. And saying all this to say that when I was in that cocoon, not realizing that, you know, my transformation was allowing me to shed off what I was going through. So you find some victims who are in domestic violence situations, they go through these stages. They're in that caterpillar stage, right? They go through that stage of being at egg, going through that caterpillar phase, and going through the cocoon phase. And I want you to know, ladies who are in that domestic violence situation, caterpillars turn out to be the most beautiful, beautiful creatures, most beautiful, beautiful insect. So I want to encourage you. I hope that you're able to catch what I'm saying in this moment right here. And what I'm telling you and sharing with you is that in that caterpillar stage, you might not have courage. You might not have confidence. If you do, yes, maybe you do. If you do, then that's great. If you do, sometimes going in a relationship, you may have that courage, you may have confidence, but being in a domestic violence situation where you're being broken down, you're being abused physically, mentally, emotionally, it kind of eats away at that courage and that confidence. So when you find yourself in those stages, you may not have that anymore. But going through that cocoon process, I'm telling you, you're going to shed off some of that dead skin. You're going to shed off some of that hurt and that pain, and you're going to be able to rebuild that confidence, rebuild that courage. I spoke at my Success Fest. I was just sharing with someone earlier that this was an event that I participated in, and I was scheduled to speak. And this was during COVID. I was scheduled to speak virtually at one particular time, and somehow they managed to skip the whole process of me and a few others. And then the only time that we were going to be able to be a part of the Speaker Fest 2021, for it to have aired during that next session, we had to do our speaking engagement right there at that moment. We had very little time to prepare. I mean, maybe to kind of make your face up or do something like that, but you really didn't have time to prepare your topic. You really didn't have time to really cultivate a nice speech. But nonetheless, I was able to speak at Success Fest 2021, and I shared about how being in a domestic violent relationship, you know, it had me stuck. I gave the analogy again, not of the caterpillar and the cocoon, but at this particular time, gum being stuck on your shoe, and how when gum gets stuck on your shoe, it causes you to become frustrated. It can stop you in your tracks, and it can also leave you stuck, right? And I spoke about a time in my life when I was stuck, and I was in this abusive relationship at that time, and I was 18 years old, just with my one daughter at that time. I only had one child, and I'm in love with this man, and nothing was going to get me apart from this man, because this was the man that I loved. I just had my baby daughter, and I share on how I was stuck in that relationship when this man was abusing me. This boy was abusing me, right? But I thought to myself, since I'm fighting back, that is not abuse. It's just, we're fighting. But no, it was abuse. And I'm sharing that story. I'm sharing this to say that during my speaking engagement for Success Fest, I shared on how I was stuck. But as a caterpillar growing into a full butterfly, back then at the age of 18 and having a 1-month-old baby, I didn't realize that I was stuck. I didn't realize, and I couldn't see it. Like, I just didn't see it. I really just thought that this is just a situation. But how many of you know that we all call certain things just a situation? But boo, those situations shouldn't be happening. So if you find yourself in a situation being victimized physically, emotionally, sexually, if you find yourself being abused, it's unhealthy. It's not supposed to happen. It's not what God designed and created you on earth to be a part of. So I need you, if you find yourself in that domestic violence situation, I need you in this book that I have. If you don't have this book, and I speak in terms of every time I talk about this book, I share about how this might not be, if you're in a domestic violence situation, this might not be the book that you want to keep in your house because you don't want to do anything to set your abuser off. But if you can't, if you don't have access to this book, I know you have access to prayer. And what you have to do is pray yourself out of the situation. One, you got to pray yourself out and know and see yourself out of it. If you see yourself out of it, then you're going to come out of it. But we got to build that courage up, and that's where my book War come in at. It helps to encourage you. So we want to build your courage up. We want to build that confidence up. And these are the different stages that I was speaking about. And when I said that I wanted to talk about courage, confidence, and the stages and the road to recovery. So once you're, I want to help you build that confidence and that courage and that strength to leave, and also to realize that you deserve better. But as you're realizing this, I'm hoping that you're on your road to recovery. This is where Coach Dara come in at. I want to help you. I want to encourage you, and this is why I'm coming at you so many different ways on so many different platforms. I am trying to reach you any way that I can. I'm talking about you, the lady that is going through that domestic violence situation. I'm talking about you, the woman that is on a journey of recovering from that domestic violence situation. I always speak about, yes, the stages. The stages is your journey. Your road to recovery is your journey. And I'll say it again. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's the journey over the destination. You're going to get to that destination. But while you're on that journey, allow yourself, open up and allow yourself to be healed. Open up so you can build that confidence. Open up so that you can build that courage. Because on this journey, you're going to need it. On this journey, you're going to run into some obstacles that may set you back. You're going to run into some valleys that may have you down, that may have you in a low spirit. You're going to need this courage. You're going to need that confidence. You're going to need something to help boost you up. So I want to encourage you on today, my sister. I don't know if you're in that domestic violence situation and you're listening to this. Please, I want to share this one. Particular item that I wrote in this book. Not item, I'm sorry. On this particular subject. It's called forgiveness. I wrote this in this journal book, and I wrote it for the woman who is in a domestic violence situation and the woman who came out of that domestic violence situation. It's forgiveness. And it goes on to read this. I've asked you to forgive yourself, stop beating up on yourself, and to practice self-love, self-care. Now I'm going to ask you to forgive your abuser. I just want to plant that seed. I'm sure you're saying, what is she talking about? Yeah, I'm sure you are. Well, in order for you to grow and be blessed, you have to forgive those who hurt you, who've harmed you, or who did something to you. Hurt people hurt people. I'll say that again because that is the truth. Hurt people hurt people. Somewhere in their life they were hurt, so now as an adult they're taking it out on you and others. They have pain that wasn't healed, which leave them with wounds, insecurities, and fear. Don't wait around for them to give you something that they never have to give. I'm sorry, let me read that again. Don't wait around for them to give you something they don't have to give. And I experienced that myself. I was waiting and I was expecting and I was waiting for this individual to give me something that they never had. If they were never ever shown love, they may not know how to give it. If they were never shown love, They may not know how to give love. That's just the honest truth. There is no I'm sorry. There is no respect because there was none in their household growing up. A man that don't respect you, well, I was speaking about this earlier, and I think I shared this in either the YouTube video or either on a podcast. A man that never respects his mother will never respect you. And there's some children who grow up in a household and they're not shown or taught how to respect themselves or how to respect others. And they grow up as adults, and it's bad. But remember, it's not your job to heal them. Forgive them and move on. This is why it's important to raise children in a healthy environment. Fine example. Otherwise, our children will grow up with so much pain. To this day, good people, to this day, I still thank God that I made the choice not to raise my children in such a toxic, chaotic environment. So remember, forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other party. So when I ask you to forgive, I'm asking you to forgive that individual that harmed you. Doesn't mean that you're going to forgive them and stay and continue to stay in that abusive relationship. I'm talking about as you're on that road to recovery, as you're on your journey of becoming your next best self. You're on your journey of becoming your next best self. You're going to make it out of this. You're going through that process of that, and you're probably in that cocoon, and it's time to shed off that dead skin. It's time to shed off that dead weight. And as you're shedding off that dead skin and shedding off that dead weight, you're building courage and you're building that confidence. You're on your road to recovery, sis. And all Leading Lady Dara want to do is just to continue to encourage you on that journey. So, I'm asking you, if you are that woman that is in that abusive relationship, take that moment, take that time, as I always encourage you and anyone else that I've encountered throughout my travels or throughout speaking or throughout talking or throughout ministering to. Take the time out for yourself, self-care, because when you sit alone, you take that time for yourself. Taking that time for yourself will allow you to hear from God. And when you're able to hear from God, that allows you to know what next step you need to make. And that next step can save your life. So stay encouraged on today. It is your girl, Leading Lady Dar. I just wanted to come before you and share my little history, my story, how I was able to get through, how I was able to overcome, and how I was able to also share at a very time that I was able to speak. When I had that moment to speak, I was able to share my story. And I'm sharing it again with you because I hope that it will help you on your journey of recovery, on your journey of becoming. I'm hoping that it will inspire you. I'm hoping that you will know that not only will this too pass, I'm hoping that you'll realize that no, not just because it happened for her, or if she can do it, then I can do it. No, it's going to happen. I need you to claim that it is going to happen. I need you to see yourself already out of that situation. And boo, if you're already out of that situation and you're on your journey of recovery, I need you just to continue to work on you. I need you to continue to work on you because I want to see you become better. I don't want to see you be a bitter person. I want to see you become better. So again, it is your girl, Leading Lady Dara. Thank you for joining Walk in Them Shoes podcast. Thank you for sharing this podcast episode with someone that you care greatly about. Please, 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 I invite you back every Wednesday. You'll hear a podcast video. We had a scheduled time. I don't know if we did or not, but every Wednesday you will get some inspiration, some motivation, some encouragement on today. And again, Walking Them Shoes podcast is not just a podcast where we just only talk about women in domestic violence situations. Although that is my mission, that is one of the how can I put this? It's just something that I do. That's something that I do. I can't get around that. My nonprofit organization does a lot of supporting with women who are in transition, and that's my mission. That's my mission. Someday, and I'm putting this out in the atmosphere, and I'm speaking it into existence. Someday that home will be ready for Dar, leading Lady Dar, to get in there and make that place a home for some women who are going to be in transition from one part of their lives to another part of their lives. It's going to happen. I'm claiming it. So touch and agree with me on today. It's your girl, leading Lady Dar here. I hope my story encouraged you. I hope that you found something, a glimpse of hope somewhere in between these stories, somewhere in this podcast. I hope that I was able to encourage you on your journey. So stay encouraged on today, ladies. Stand tall and slouch for no one. If you don't do anything else, remember to stand tall and slouch for no one. It is your girl, Lady Dar here. Thank you for listening to this podcast.